Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, a few topics related to Russia, US, NATO, and Ukraine, obviously. And that is, NATO prepares to fight Russia, on one hand. On the other one, they pretend they want peace. That's for the baboons. Then we find out that the Americans are threatening to leave the peace talks if Russia doesn't do what they want. But remember, they are the guys who are losing, but somehow they think that their terms will be imposed on the Russians. NATO, on the other hand, says, you know what, which is the United States of America, says, we are okay with stopping NATO's expansion towards Russia. That is, Ukraine is gone, the Russians react to that. And they say, oh, that's fantastic. The problem is the Americans cannot be trusted again. Why? They lied too many times to the Russians. I don't have to go back and enumerate all these instances when the Americans promised and they broke their promise. The first one was in 1991. No eastward expansion by NATO. 1 inch. Remember? 1 inch. They lied. It was nothing signed, that's true, but if you're an asshole, then you sign things. If you're not an asshole, you just say it, I'll be tomorrow at your sister's party. And you're going to be over there at his sister's party. Now, they said, I'll be tomorrow at your sister's party. Or at your wedding, man. I will be over there at the wedding. And they didn't show up at the wedding. They lied. And then they say, I didn't sign anything saying that I'll be at your wedding. Well, that drops you from a friend to a, not even a businessman, to a, as I said, person who breaks his word, or at least the gentleman agreement. And then we find out that the Russians react to NATO's preparation for war, and NATO is upset that Russia builds up troops along Finland's border. But remember, Finland became a NATO member 2 years ago or so. And the Russians said, if you choose that path, this is what's going to happen. This is what we have to do. And now these guys are crying. Oh my God, look at these guys. They want to attack us. They brought forces at Finland's border. So let's start with the first topic, which is NATO prepares for war. And they prepare to attack Russia. That's what I think it is. I have 3 articles to support these claims. And they're always the same way I mentioned many times before, which is the mountain slope model. Which is you always start easy. And then you go, and then picks up, and then momentum, and then you end up to sending to Ukraine F-16s, Abrams tanks, Leopard tanks, Challenger tanks, howitzers, intelligence, Patriot, HIMARS. They all followed the same path. First, it was a retired general. That is someone with no authority. But he's with expertise. So always they start with retired, not always, 99.9. Former CIA, who's going to give us, according to his vast knowledge, what America should do or what Ukraine should do. And then from that, it goes up a little bit. It gets picked up by the media a little bit. And then by the media, they go and ask the White House. And the White House denied. We're not going to send Abrams tanks. No, that's out of the question. No. And then they come back, the media, and they bring the experts. They bring the PhDs, the professors, the analysts. And then they bring it back. And that goes to, it's not a bad idea, actually, to send Abrams tanks to Ukraine. After all, the Russians are bad dudes over there and a lot of children are dying. And they always muster, that sensitivity. They pluck that cord. So then they goes back to the White House and the White House says, well, the president is thinking. There you go. And the next one is, we decided to do it. They always follow the same mountain slope model. And here is the first one regarding NATO attack on Russia. Boom. A retired general right here, CNN. It will be less risky for NATO to stand up to Putin now, end quote. Says who? Retired General McChrystal on the Ukrainian war. He's a retired guy, and if you look at his Wikipedia page, you will see how many jobs he's got after retirement. All right? So it would cost less. That means it's efficient and be less risky for NATO to stand up to Putin now. That is threatened war, because the Russians will go to war. Retired, right here, retired U.S. Army General Stanley McChrystal weighs in on the conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza and tells CNN Wolf Blitzer, Jewish, about his new book about character. Okay, now, I'm going to take a shit first on the generals. So, as you know, and for good reason, everything I say is not a lie. Now, there are some exceptions. General rule is this: military is a hierarchical, ordered-based, follow orders institution. That means you are not allowed to think to the left or to the right. He said jump into fire, you gotta follow the order. Correct? Correct. You are not allowed to utter anything else. And then when you become, a general, you're allowed to somehow uncork your brain of this, right? And be a little bit more flexible and talk about character and geopolitics and be an intellectual. Have a geopolitical mind. After all the 40 fucking years you've been in the military, you were a follower. All of them. Oh yeah, you gave some orders, but you were a follower. So you tell me that this guy is changing his character right now? He's a very open-minded, flexible, understanding guy, and yeah, let's see what the Russians say. Okay, well, we'll take that into consideration. Or he's gonna be like, no. Yes, I think this is what they're gonna be. After 40 years, I guarantee you that leaves an impact on your way you're thinking and the way you're acting. So when I hear a general talk, okay, I'm listening, but I know where he comes from. Remember, certain kind of jobs create certain kind of qualities or attributes, or you need certain kind of attributes in order to fulfill certain jobs. Or if you're in the military, you have to follow orders. That's the main one. Follow, not to give orders. Follow orders. Now, if you're a hitman, you have to have courage, imagination, and have a criminal mind. Don't give a fuck about what's going on after you shoot. You can't be over there, Jesus Christ. You can't be over there and be, I'm a hitman, man. Hire me for that. No. So that's first imbecile. The second imbecile. Remember the mountain slope model when I talk about these things. New Voice of Ukraine. I covered this yesterday in a video. Ben Hodge, another general, former. Crimea is essential for Ukraine's sovereignty and future prosperity. The message is we have to take Crimea. We cannot leave Crimea. We cannot leave Crimea to the Russians because we are NATO. And here, where is that? Retired U.S. Army Europe commander. Another retired. Tell us that. You got it? Thank you very much. So you cannot do this. This baboon says it's cost effective. We should do it now. And then let's go to this article. This is misleading, like many articles. Now listen to this title coming from the Telegraph. Europe's plan, because Europe is one monolith, okay? To take back control of the Black Sea from Russia. Well, Russia is in Europe. So how can Europe take control back from Russia? Well, first, they talk about the European Union, but they don't say it. They say Europe. Why? Because they include the Brits and the Americans, and they include NATO. And I will show you. Words are misleading, my friends. These guys must be Joe Barnes, who wrote this article, must be very smart, because he knows from the very beginning that he's misleading us. It's like Europe, all in Europe, want to take back because it was theirs. The Black Sea is Europe's sea. Since when? Did you look over the map? I will show you where the Black Sea is. Let me show you where the Black Sea is. Right there. This is the Black Sea. In Europe, suppose it's from the Caucasus, from here, right here, going that way. This is not Europe. This is Europe, from here there. From Istanbul westward. This is Europe, right here. Okay? These guys supposedly is Europe. This is the Caucasus Mountains. From here there, that's Europe. From there is Asia. So here you have, this is in Europe. But hey, you got Russia here a little bit. You got Ukraine here. Europe wants it back. What do you mean Europe wants it back? This is part of Russia as well. Russia has access here. All right, but let me tell you how they switch this smart guy, he thinks, Joe Barnes, he thinks he's smart. And this is what he says. And I'm going to go to the lower thing, because he talks about that, and he's going to go gradually and talk about the European Union right here. The first clue is, where is she? I saw her freaking name. Come on, baby doll. Not here. Where are you? God damn it, I saw her. Ursula. All right. Oh no, Peninsula. I'm sorry, I was Ursula. I'm just Ursula. We're going to go to the Black Sea is right here. Now, with the Black Sea's waters once again up for grabs, the European Union has rolled out its first Black Sea strategy. So from Europe, they got to European Union, and they will go to NATO. Right there. Of the 6 countries bordering the landlocked waters, 2, Bulgaria and Romania, are EU members. Remember when the Americans said that they want to turn Black Sea into Marea Nostra? You know what Marea Nostra is? Our sea. That's how the Romans called the Mediterranean Sea. When the Romans were able to conquer the whole Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa, Mediterranean Sea was our sea, because it was surrounded by us, all of us. So NATO, Americans, said that NATO will turn the Black Sea into Marea Nostra, like the Romans call it, our sea. That means someone has to go. How? We take over through Ukraine. My friends, it's so baboonish. So here it is. Of the 6 countries bordering the landlocked waters, 2, Bulgaria and Romania, are EU members. So that's it. So when you take back some from the Europe, they turn to European Union, but only these 2 countries right here. You see, this is the only thing the European has access to. Right there. Right there. The rest, right there, I'm not talking Azov Sea, all this is non-European. Non-European right there. And I think Turkey is not considered in Europe anyway. But by the way, Israel is considered. We play soccer in Europe. So anyway, you got it, my friends? So this is the European Union, but from European Union, which is a big minority of the border of the shores of the Black Sea, from that, remember how the title was? Europe plans, not the European Union, which actually is just these 2 right here. These 2 jackal vassals. Right? And then we go to the main thing, because I said from that they will go to something else. European Union, there where we've been. Rupa Tsopa. We go Kaya Kallas, the Europe top diplomat, an infantile, just so you know. We go to Rapatsapa, and we find out that, what's that? NATO. You see NATO over there? And then we go further. We go further because I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the map. This is how US troops could be sent to frontline in European ground war with Russia. This is the first one, the first article, remember? And this is the second baboon general, right there. They said something, and these guys eventually tell you what it is. So they wanna what? Hey, this is right here is the Black Sea. This is the Black Sea, where there's white stuff, like the, you know what I mean? So this is how they will eventually take over. So that's the whole article is made for this, my friends. The whole article is made for this little map. How US troops could be sent to frontline in European ground war with Russia. Now put that together, and this is from this, the video, the first video is from today. It's from 6:36 a.m. right there. This one is from yesterday. I'm sorry, 2 days ago. And this, the Telegraph article is, I think, from today. 30th, from today. It's a coincidence? No, it's not. It's the mountain slope model. Okay, let's see. And then you have this. New Voice of Ukraine. Moscow builds up troops near Finland, sparking security concerns. So, look at this guy. Are you scared, homie? Hey, what was over there? Let me go back to the map, shall I? Let me go back to the map. Where's Finland now? You see Finland over there? Finland was not part of NATO. It became NATO, and the Russians said, you become part of NATO, we will have to adjust, which is going to put troops here. We're going to put rockets here, directed at you. So these guys now are crying, and these guys are telling you where the US troops could send to frontline in Europe. Ground war is going to be through Finland. Norway, Sweden, Finland. And these guys are putting it here. Remember, man, remember, when you want to solve a problem, you always look at the chronology of events, especially if it's an argument between some. You don't just start when you like to start. You start with the beginning. And you take everything that is, how should I put it, has value, that is clear, works for the, it's an expression, I can't fucking find the word, like makes sense for, anyway, I went too far away. So anyway, it's relevant to the case. So you always go to get the information. Relevant means as an importance, affected is a variable. So the same here. You have to start with chronology of events. Why do the Russians put troops over there? They said they will. This is today. They put troops. You say, why did they do it? Because they said they will. Why did they say they will? Because Finland became a NATO member state. Why did Finland became NATO state? Because Russia attacked Ukraine. Why did Russia attack Ukraine? Because NATO entered Ukraine. Why did NATO enter Ukraine? Because it broke its promises to the Russians in the past 991, saying no inch. Remember what I said at the beginning? So that's what it is, my friends. You go with the chronology of events and you find out the main source. The water is coming in your house through that broken pipe. You don't fix the pipe while the water is coming. You go downstairs or outside and turn off the faucet, turn off the water coming from the city, and then you repair and then you turn it back on. That's how you do. You go to the root cause. Root cause, NATO. Wants to do what to Russia? Protect Russia? All right. That's one. So they're all concerned about it. And let's go to see what the Americans say about NATO. Because you see, with one mouth, they say, one side of the mouth, they say, we want peace. The other one, get ready for a war. Now, which one is it? Which one do you think it is? Both in the same time? Yeah, it could be, but at one point, you have to pick and choose. Ukrainska Pravda. US ready to discuss Russia's demands on NATO non-expansion guarantees, Trump envoy. The same guy. Shut the fuck up. We're gonna pay because, we owe you everything. We owe you. Right, so they're ready to discuss Russia's demands. Russia's demands are this. For our security guarantees, we told you in 2021 and repeatedly before that, don't bring NATO close to us. We need security guarantees. And you blew us. We don't care, man. Now you're losing and you are doing us a favor? No, and this is my demand. And as your demand would be, don't bring nuclear weapons in Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Mexico, Canada, because we're going to think it's against us. And the Russians will assure you it's not against you. Like NATO assured the Russians. We bring our troops closer, and infrastructure and military and weapons close to you, but it's not directed towards you. It's against Iran. And Putin was like, you make me laugh, you make me go to bed in a good mood. Remember that video when that German interviewer, I think it was, or French, well, yeah, but those air defense systems NATO deploys in... that's his face, are meant to protect Europe from Iran attack of Europe. And Putin is like, you make me laugh, he said. But at least it's late at night, he said. I will be going to sleep in a good mood. Thank from Iran, not from us. I mean, and what did Putin say many times? Okay, it's against Iran. Why don't you let us co-use those, and we're gonna be over there with you when you are, so we can inspect them. And NATO said, no, no, it's against you, my boy. I mean, retards. Anyway, let's move to the next one. And what's Kremlin's reaction to discussions and the demands? Kremlin reacts positively to US stance on NATO eastward limits. But you have these guys, Paka attack, Paka, we need Crimea right there, and Paka, the European plan. So you can be glad as much as you want, Peskov. The Kremlin is glad the United States is reportedly ready to discuss Russia's demands. Finally, after 2 years and 3 months of losing a war, now they are going to go back in 2021, October, November, December, negotiations that the Russians asked for, and the Americans says, fuck off. All right, next one. But in the same time, we have these guys, Ukrainska Pravda. US will withdraw from peace talks if Russia continues war. Well, it's kind of idiotic. Hey, look at this guy. What did you expect? Do you think this guy is gonna... He doesn't know shit. He's very well dressed, I guarantee you that. They always very nice dressed, and they're very, but it's something is missing right there always. But anyway, so this guy is saying that US will withdraw from peace talks if Russia continues war. Well, you are losing, and you can't tell me what to do. You are going to walk on my pace. If I speed up, you come with me. If I walk slower, you walk slower. Why? Because you tried for 3 years and 3 months to destroy me, and you failed. And I am advancing in Ukraine. So you're losing. That's why you're talking to me right now sweetly. And the Russians want to make sure that they will not be promised again, even under the signature of the states. Because let's say all these guys say, we promise you everything. Russia, we promise you everything. And then let's say after a while, NATO regroups and say, oh no, you broke the agreement. That's it. We're going to go to war. The Russians, what are they going to do? They're going to take those papers and going to show it to the whole world, United Nations. Hey, these guys lied. Everybody knows this guy lies. They already know this guy lies. So what is Russia going to do? It has to go to war again. Bottom line, you're going to go to war again. It's a piece of paper with a freaking signature. What do you think will be? The world will sanction the United States of America for lying? Or NATO? Or the European Union? So therefore, this means nothing. It has to be like this. Russia will take over Ukraine, will never allow NATO troops, peacekeeping troops, in Ukraine. Guarantee you that. And guarantees that NATO's expansion, even if it's on paper, is just a matter of opinion when you say, see, those guys lied in 1991 and lied again in 2025. And people will say, so, I got your money, I got your wife, I got your car, fuck off. What are they going to say? You lied to me? Oh yeah. That's it. What matters? And if say, Emil did not keep his word. Yeah, but I have your house, I have your bank account, I have your wife, I have your car, I have everything. Yeah, I'm a liar. Fuck off, man. I got everything. And who's going to do anything to me? You? Smack. You smack. You smack. And everybody's going to say, Emil is great. That's how the world is run by this Al Capone. My God. And that gets me to what? To the situation, to a little conclusion. NATO will not stop destroying Russia. NATO is a military arm of the interests owning a few Western countries. That's what it is. It's the military, the enforcer. Decision is made by those financial economic interests through their elected officials that they help elect through legal campaign donations, where we call that a bribe in real world. They're campaign donations in America. And those politicians allow free media, right? Because the Constitution allows. And the free media is big legacy media owned by their, how do you call those guys? Shareholders. The shareholders are the interest who have the money to buy the shares in the companies that they're holders. And then they appoint CEOs that will do their bidding. And the media will tell the narrative of the interest, the politicians will tell the narrative of the interest, and the baboon will go and work and shut the fuck up, get his boosters, drive the car with a mask on, and stay in the basement and become white as a freaking larva or maggot, because he can't see the fucking sun in months. This is what they want from us. So that's the way it's run. And then the country, the politicians, they appoint the bureaucrats in charge of NATO, in charge of their military-industrial complex. I'm talking about the military-industrial complex, not the private companies, which is them, okay? Not those guys. I'm talking about, because military-industrial complex is part of the interest. The arms manufacturing companies. They appoint the baboons as secretary of this, secretary of that, secretary of state, secretary of NATO, secretary of that. And these guys will just do what they're told, which is they know who put them on their position. And they will say, oh my God, Russia, look what they did. Why? Because those guys have interest in taking Russia's resources and destroying competition. Did you see how quickly the American companies destroyed Russian gas and oil competition in the European market? They just told the baboons in Europe, you gotta impose sanctions, boys. Smack, smack, smack. And they did. When they did, they didn't have to do anything else. You know why? They didn't have to do anything else because NATO has troops over there. America has troops in Europe. Europe doesn't have troops in America. Clear? That's ABC 1, 2, 3. If I have troops in your house or have the key at your house, but you don't have the key for my house, that tells you the relationship between you and I, doesn't it? All right, my friends, I think I can speak here 3 hours. It's outrageous, but this is the way it is. NATO will never stop. This is just an armistice. They want to make it, to their media, make it appear that they didn't lose this attempt, failed, right? And they will regroup. They will try in Georgia next time. Or they'll try differently. They will try maybe in Ukraine. Maybe they will find an incident. Maybe go through China. It's too late. These guys are already too... But see, Putin and Xi Jinping, or what's his name? Mao Zedong, what the hell is his name? Kim Jong-un. They're not eternal. They die. And the next echelon goes up. The next echelon goes up. And if you have these guys yours on your CIA payroll, when these guys are promoted, they eventually with dying, they get to be in charge. The same with the mass media. You infiltrate them, and then they grow in years, not in months, in years. And in years they're gonna go over there. There's a natural, how do you call it? Promotion by elimination by age. And then you have your generals over there that you took when they were majors or when they were lieutenants. You Rakolat, you took them, and they're yours. And with time, you open the doors from the same guys that you are. Oh, too much, my friends, too much. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.